Chosen one. Why do the chosen ones suffer the most? You have asked this question quietly in the dark, in the still hours of the night, when the world sleeps but your soul trembles. You've whispered, "Why me? Why does it feel like everything falls apart the moment I try to stand up?" You didn't imagine the pain. You didn't fabricate the struggle. You didn't choose to carry a mountain. It was handed to you. And the truth is, the chosen ones often suffer the most, not because they are weak, but because they are strong enough to carry the fire. This is your story, and this video will speak to your soul. Stay until the end. And if this resonates with your journey, I invite you to comment your warmest wishes and the number 99 as a sign that your time is near and your wish is already in motion. This is a chapter about wishes coming true and energizing the universe. The suffering of the chosen one is not random. It's not without design. It's not the punishment of a cruel world. It is the preparation of a higher calling. From the moment you entered this world, things felt different. You didn't quite fit in. You were more sensitive than others. You noticed things others ignored. You felt the pain in the room, even when no one said a word. You could feel truth in silence, see through fake smiles, and hear the cracks in perfect facades. And because of that awareness, life treated you differently. Chosen ones are born with depth, but that depth often leads to deep pain. You feel more, sense more, and experience more, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. And when others are coasting through surface-level living, you are forced to dive into the depths of heartbreak, loss, rejection, and transformation. You are not allowed to remain asleep because your soul has a task: to awaken, to break generational patterns, and to birth something new. That calling cannot coexist with comfort, so life hits you early. People betray you early. You are misunderstood early. The ones you thought would protect you are often the ones who wound you first. And instead of being nurtured, you were shaped in the fires of adversity. You learned to be your own comfort. You became your own savior when no one else showed up. And while others wondered why you were so serious or so distant, they never knew the silent wars you were fighting just to keep going. The pain made you question everything. Why do good people suffer? Why do the ones who give the most receive the least? Why do those with pure hearts get crushed by this world? Because the chosen are not sent here to live easy lives. They are sent to live meaningful ones, lives that carry light in dark places, lives that break chains, lives that inspire others to rise when they've fallen. And such lives can only be born through pressure, through fire, through storms. Suffering isn't proof of failure. It's often the proof of alignment. The world does not attack what is meaningless. It targets what threatens its illusion. And when you carry a vibration of truth, of power, of elevation, you disrupt that illusion. People will try to silence you. Situations will try to break you. But every single breakdown in your journey is a breakthrough in disguise. You didn't go through what you did just to end up bitter. You went through it to get better. You were placed in those situations not to destroy you, but to activate something sacred inside of you. The suffering you experienced cracked you open. It stripped away the illusions, the lies, the conditioning. It forced you to see reality, raw and unfiltered. And it's in that clarity that your real power begins. Because suffering for the chosen one isn't permanent, it's transformative. You're not stuck in the dark, you're incubating. You're not lost, you're being refined. The pain you feel is not the end, it's the middle of the process. The caterpillar does not become the butterfly without the darkness of the cocoon. And you, chosen one, are in your cocoon season. It hurts, it's lonely, it's confusing, but it's sacred. And what emerges on the other side will be more powerful, more radiant, and more elevated than you can even imagine. This suffering is sacred initiation. It's your soul's agreement to take on what others couldn't, to feel what others numb, to transform what others repeat. You're the cycle breaker. The generational pattern ends with you, and that's why it hurts so much. Because you are transmuting pain into power, loss into legacy, wounds into wisdom. People will not understand you. They'll say you're too emotional, too sensitive, too serious. But they don't know the weight you carry in your spirit. They don't know the prayers you whisper just to make it through the day. They don't know how many times you wanted to give up, but chose to keep going anyway. And that silent strength, that is what makes you chosen. You are not meant to conform. You are meant to transform. That's why nothing normal ever worked for you. The relationships didn't last. The job didn't fulfill you. The routine bored you. Because your soul is too expansive for small living. Your spirit knows it came here to do more, be more, love deeper, lead further. So the suffering is not punishment, it's preparation. Your isolation is not abandonment, it's consecration. You are being set apart, not because you're better than others, but because you are being readied to serve others in a way only you can. And to do that, your heart had to be broken open. Your ego had to be stripped. Your attachments had to be shattered, not to destroy you, but to reveal you. You've met versions of yourself you never wanted to meet. The broken you, the hopeless you, the doubting you. But in meeting them, you learned to love yourself beyond conditions. You began to accept every part of your being, not just the polished parts. And that self-love is the foundation of your purpose. Chosen one, your journey is different because your destination is different. While others are chasing pleasure, you are chasing purpose. While others are avoiding pain, you are alchemizing it. You are here to shift the atmosphere, not blend into it. And that calling will always come with a cost. But what you gain in return is immeasurable. The suffering refines your discernment. You learn to see beyond masks. You stop chasing temporary validation. You begin to value truth over approval. And that makes you powerful beyond measure. Because the one who is no longer afraid to lose cannot be controlled. And that is the most dangerous kind of freedom. So if your life has been filled with suffering, chosen one, understand this. You were never being punished. You were being positioned. Every tear was watering your growth. Every heartbreak was opening your heart. Every betrayal was redirecting your path. Nothing was wasted. Every moment had meaning. And now, you are rising. You are rising. But it doesn't always feel that way. Some days, it still feels like you're buried. Like you're screaming into a void. Like no one hears you, no one sees you, and no one understands what it's costing you just to keep showing up. You try to smile, but your soul is tired. You give, but you're running on empty. You stay strong for everyone else, but who holds you when you fall apart in silence? This is the unseen pain of the chosen one. You carry so much and receive so little in return. You're the one everyone runs to, but when you need help, silence. You're the light in the room, but when your flame flickers, people disappear. It makes you question your worth. It makes you feel invisible, but you are not invisible to the higher forces that assigned you. The reason the chosen ones suffer the most is because they are being trained in divine silence. The isolation you feel, it's not accidental. It's intentional, because when you're surrounded by noise, you can't hear your inner voice. When you're always helping others, you ignore your own healing. So, life removes the distractions, one by one, person by person, until you're left alone with your truth. That space, though painful, is sacred. In that solitude, you start hearing things you were too distracted to notice before. You begin recognizing patterns. You remember the times you betrayed your own intuition just to keep the peace. You recall the red flags you ignored because you were afraid to be alone. You see how much of your energy was spent trying to earn love instead of just being it. That clarity hurts, but it also heals. Suffering has a way of cleaning the lens. It exposes the lies we've told ourselves. It reveals the masks we wear to be accepted. It burns away the illusions that kept us stuck. And from those ashes, something new emerges. Authenticity. You stop pretending. You stop shrinking. You stop bending your truth just to be liked. That's when you truly step into your power. But before that breakthrough, you must endure the breakdown. You must lose what was never real. You must release the expectations that were never yours. You must bury the version of you that was built on survival. That grief is necessary, because you are not just healing, you are evolving. Most people don't evolve, they repeat. They stay stuck in loops. They fear change more than they fear pain. But not you. You've chosen the path of awakening. And awakening is messy. It shatters your illusions. It rips you from your comfort zone. It forces you to see yourself, all of yourself. And that can be terrifying. But it's also liberating, because once you see the truth, you can never unsee it. You can never go back to sleep. You can never settle for less again. And that's why the path of the chosen is so lonely, because few are willing to walk it. But you walk it anyway, even with bleeding feet, even with a heavy heart, even with trembling hands, because something in your spirit knows this suffering has purpose. It's not just about you. It never was. Your pain is connected to a greater story, a ripple effect, a legacy. What you survive, you will teach. What you overcome, you will use to free others. What broke you will one day become your message. That's the sacred contract of the chosen one, to turn wounds into wisdom. But the world won't make it easy. You will be doubted, ridiculed, misunderstood. They will say you've changed, as if you were ever meant to stay the same. They will distance themselves, not because you're wrong, but because your growth reminds them of their stagnation. Don't let it stop you. Keep rising, keep shedding, keep becoming. The pain will come in waves, but so will the power. Every time you choose healing over hiding, you reclaim a piece of your soul. Every time you say no to what diminishes you, you remember who you are. Every time you show up, raw, real, and unfiltered, you light the way for others. You become the proof that it's possible to walk through hell and come out glowing. They don't know the nights you cried yourself to sleep. They don't know the strength it took to forgive those who never said sorry. They don't know how often you fought battles no one could see. But they will know the light you became because of it. They will feel it. They will remember you. Not for the pain you endured, but for the grace with which you transformed it. That is the legacy of the chosen one. Not perfection, not ease, but power born of pain. Beauty carved from brokenness. Strength built in silence. And love that remains even when everything else falls apart. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not too late. You are precisely where you're meant to be. This season may be heavy, but it is also holy. Every scar is sacred. Every tear is divine. And every struggle is shaping you into something unstoppable. Keep going, keep trusting, keep rising. Every storm you've endured was not just weather to survive, it was a sacred ritual. Each one stripped away what was never yours to carry. Each one purified your spirit. The chosen ones don't suffer because they're cursed. They suffer because they're being carved, shaped, refined, crafted into vessels of power, clarity, and truth. And that process is not painless. It's brutal. It breaks the ego. It tests the heart. It demands surrender. You're not just learning how to survive. You're learning how to transcend. Pain is your teacher, and what it's teaching you is not weakness, it's mastery. Because only those who have walked through darkness without losing their light know how to guide others out. You don't become a beacon by standing still. You become a beacon by burning through every layer that once kept you small. And yet, the irony remains. While you're transforming, most won't see your becoming. They'll only notice your absence. They won't understand your silence. They won't recognize the inner revolutions happening in your soul. They'll say you changed, when in truth, you simply returned to who you've always been, beneath the noise. This is the loneliness of becoming. You outgrow people you once called family. You detach from environments you once craved. You realize that some relationships were built on the version of you who was afraid to speak up. And now that you're honoring your truth, the masks fall, the connections dissolve. But in their place comes something more powerful: alignment. When you are chosen, alignment becomes more important than attachment. You can no longer ignore what drains you. You can't pretend to enjoy spaces that silence your spirit. You begin to crave depth, truth, purpose. And that craving isolates you, not because you're too much, but because you're becoming precise. You're being calibrated for something specific, a mission, a movement, a moment that only you can deliver. So yes, the suffering continues. But now, it carries a different tone. It's not meaningless, it's intelligent, it's targeted. Every moment of rejection was a divine redirection. Every breakdown was a blueprint. Every betrayal was a brutal blessing. Your soul knew what it signed up for. Even when your mind forgot, even when your heart doubted. Chosen ones live with that duality, being human and divine, grounded and elevated. You feel everything so deeply because you are meant to bring depth to a shallow world. And that intensity, it's your power. But it can also feel like a curse, like no one understands you, like your existence is too loud, too sensitive, too raw. But that's exactly what this world needs: rawness, realness, resonance. You are the emotional alchemist, the one who turns chaos into clarity, who takes confusion and births compassion. You were given pain, and instead of letting it poison you, you let it awaken you. And that's what separates the chosen from the crowd. Not perfection, not fame, not ease, but transformation. That is your silent superpower. And yet, even with all this growth, you will still face days where you wonder if it was worth it. You'll feel tired. You'll feel disconnected. You'll watch others skip through life while you dig through your soul. And you'll ask, when will it be my turn? The answer is, your time is not a date on the calendar. It's a vibration. And every time you rise, even when it hurts, you bring yourself closer to that vibration. This is not punishment. This is precision. The chosen ones are assigned higher timelines, and higher timelines require higher truths. And truth, by its very nature, disrupts. It shakes loose what was never stable. It exposes what was hidden. It breaks what was built on lies. And when you carry that truth, You become a disruptor. But don't let the disruption scare you. Let it free you. You weren't born to fit in. You were born to remember, to remind the world of what's real, to carry messages not everyone will understand at first, but over time they will, because energy never lies, and your presence will speak long after your words are forgotten. You will be attacked not because you're wrong, but because you're right too early. You will be judged not because you're lost, but because your path intimidates those who are still asleep. But don't dim your light to be digestible. Don't shrink to soothe others' comfort zones. Keep rising, keep burning, keep becoming. This suffering, it's not the end, it's the evidence. The evidence that you are alive, that you are feeling, that you are not numb like the rest. It's the evidence that your soul still cares, still believes, still hopes. And that belief is revolutionary. Most people have settled. You haven't. Most have silenced their truth. You're amplifying yours. Most are surviving. You're choosing to evolve. That's what makes you chosen. Not that life is easier for you, but that you keep choosing elevation even when it's the harder path. You are walking a road very few would dare to walk, but that's why you were picked. Not because it's fair, but because you're able. And every tear, every ache, every silent scream, they are not in vain. They are sacred stamps on your destiny. You were not built for normal. You were built for impact. You were built to disrupt, to awaken, to lead. And leaders walk alone before they are followed. So if you are in your season of isolation, do not confuse it with abandonment. You are being summoned, prepared, sharpened. And when the moment arrives, you will not be ready because of comfort. You will be ready because of everything that tried to destroy you and failed. You've suffered, yes, but what you carry now, that is rare, that is sacred, that is the soul of the chosen. The refining fires do more than strip away illusions. They temper the steel of your spirit. They anneal the delicate parts of you that once fractured under the slightest pressure, forging them into unbreakable strands of resolve. You know this intimately. Pain is a blacksmith. Every strike of the hammer, every loss, every betrayal, every moment of despair folds your inner metal layer upon layer until your core is twice as strong, twice as flexible, twice as luminous. And though the forge feels merciless while you're inside it, the day will come when you emerge incandescent, carrying within you the heat of 1,000 suns. Even now, you can sense it, the shifts in your perception, the new muscles in your mind. You navigate conversations with an intuitive precision others don't yet understand. You hear what isn't said, feel what isn't shown, know what isn't taught. That heightened awareness was purchased with sleepless nights and quiet breakdowns. With every moment, your heart cracked open and asked, "Why me?" The universe answered by expanding your capacity to hold paradox, compassion without compromise, love without self-erasure, boundaries without bitterness. This expansion is the hidden gift of every sorrow you've endured. Notice how your definition of success has changed. Where once you chased applause, now you crave authenticity. Where once validation fueled you, now alignment guides you. The old metrics, likes, status, superficial security, lost their luster the moment you tasted the bittersweet clarity of your mission. Because chosen ones suffer most when they try to live someone else's script. Your soul revolts against smallness. It refuses to breathe stale air. It pushes, prods, collapses any reality that can't contain its fullness. To outsiders, that collapse looks like chaos. To you, it is sacred demolition, clearing ground for a structure worthy of your essence. Understand, the dismantling phase endures until you stop bargaining with limitation. The day you quit negotiating with fear, the rubble begins to reorganize. You start spotting opportunities in the debris, clues in the ashes, blueprints in the dust. Lessons crystallize. Your sensitivity is not a defect, it's your radar. Your loneliness is not a void, it's incubation space. Your failures are not verdicts, they're coordinates, redirecting you to a truer north. And as your inner architecture rises brick by intentional brick, a strange calm replaces the panic. The storms still arrive, but you no longer mistake thunder for apocalypse. You feel the tremor, anchor your breath, and remember that you've survived worse. Suddenly the world realizes nothing can manipulate a person who has already made peace with endings. That level of surrender is magnetic. It repels illusions and attracts destiny. People sense it, even those who once dismissed you, yet most cannot name it. They call it charisma, resilience, aura. You call it freedom. Freedom, however, carries its own weight. The wider your wingspan, the fiercer the winds that whip against you. Elevated paths are exposed paths. No canopy of denial to soften the elements. You meet resistance in systems, in relationships, sometimes in your own body. Your nervous system becomes the proving ground where old trauma meets new frequency. Some days you shake, purge, weep for no rational reason. That is the cellular memory, releasing its grip, your very DNA recoding itself to host more light. The mind scrambles to label it anxiety, but the soul whispers upgrade. So you learn new forms of care. You speak kinder words to your inner child. You feed your creativity before scrolling the noise. You stretch, rest, hydrate. You exit conversations where peace is too expensive. This devotion to self-preservation isn't selfish, it's strategic. An exhausted chosen one can't steward the assignment. Your radiance isn't a limitless resource, it's a sacred oil. And you are the lamp. Guard your wick. Trim it when necessary. Refill the reservoir with solitude, art, laughter, stillness. You deserve softness after wielding so much strength. Meanwhile, the narrative of your suffering begins to rewrite itself in real time. You catch yourself thanking hardships for the skills they smuggled in. You see how betrayal trained you to trust discernment over promises. You realize heartbreak taught you the cartography of your own heart, so no one could ever colonize it again. You acknowledge that scarcity forced you to innovate, to transform ashes into architecture. The moment gratitude penetrates the scar tissue, the wound alchemizes into wisdom. And wisdom, once integrated, radiates outward as quiet authority. People start coming to you, not for permission, but for perspective. They sense you've touched the center of the flame and lived to tell it. They ask how to transmute their chaos, how to survive their nights that won't end. You resist the urge to hand them shortcuts. You know depth cannot be gifted, only earned. So you share your story, your tools, your presence, and let their souls do the heavy lifting. This is leadership on the chosen path, guiding without governing, illuminating without overshadowing, loving without losing yourself. Yet even as your influence expands, humility deepens. You remember the days gratitude felt impossible. You honor the parts of you still healing. You stay reachable, teachable, flexible, because you know suffering can return like an unexpected tide, and when it does, you'll meet it as an old companion, even welcome it as the next instructor on this infinite syllabus of becoming. Not everyone will celebrate your metamorphosis. Some will misinterpret your evolution as arrogance, your boundaries as cruelty, your vision as delusion. Their projections are the price of visibility. Let their judgments pass through you like wind through branches. Trees do not cower when the breeze speculates about their roots. They simply continue reaching for the sun. The higher you climb, the more essential it becomes to travel light. Release comparison. It will chain you to timelines that weren't scripted for you. Release guilt. It will poison your permission to thrive. Release nostalgia. It will romanticize cages you worked hard to escape. Keep only what echoes your future. Conviction, curiosity, compassion. These are the companions worthy of the summit. And if on some twilight evening the old ache returns, if memory flickers with the faces that left, the dreams that died, the innocence you buried, sit beside it. Offer it tea. Ask what message it delayed delivering. Pain revisits only when part of its medicine remains unopened. Receive it, bless it, and send it back to the wind with gratitude. You owe no allegiance to suffering, only to the lessons it brings. Peace, the most radical state for someone who's lived in perpetual survival. And yet, it becomes your home. You decorate it with boundaries, adorn it with self-respect, insulate it with trust, and you protect it fiercely because you know what it cost you. Not just the external battles, but the internal ones. The late nights, the identity deaths, the letting go of who you thought you had to be. All of it, a funeral for the false self. And now, in its place, the real you is breathing freely. And while the suffering may never fully disappear, its meaning changes. You stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start asking, "What did this wake up in me?" That shift is everything. It transforms pain from punishment to purpose. It rewrites your narrative. You're no longer the victim. You're the vessel, the living example that something good can come from something broken. This is why the chosen suffer more, not because they're weak, but because they are built to transform. And transformation is not gentle. It burns, it tears, it unroots, but it also liberates. It reveals, it expands. You are not just surviving a process, you are becoming the process, a walking embodiment of healing, of clarity, of elevation. So even when the world looks at you and sees someone quiet, someone different, someone too sensitive, you know who you are. You are thunder in disguise, a storm that learned to walk softly, a light that refused to go out, and that makes you unstoppable. The chosen ones don't just suffer more, they rise stronger, they shine brighter, and they love deeper because they've known what it means to feel unloved, unseen, unworthy, and they vowed to never let anyone else feel that way if they can help it. That's your legacy, not pain, but the power born through pain, not the wounds, but the wisdom carved through them. You are walking proof that the storm never had the final word. Your rebirth did. The most profound truth you will ever accept as a chosen one is this: the pain wasn't your enemy. It was your passage. It was never there to end you. It was there to unlock you. Every hardship was a hidden initiation. Every silent tear was a code written into your transformation. You didn't suffer because you were forgotten. You suffered because you were called, and the calling was louder than the noise around you, louder than your fears, louder than the narratives you were handed. It pulled you into awakening, whether you were ready or not. And look at you now, still standing, still breathing, still rising, even if the climb has left you bruised. You've become the very thing your pain tried to prevent. Whole. Not perfect, not polished, but whole, integrated, conscious, powerful. There's a gravity to you now, a quiet force. People feel it before they hear you. They sense the stillness, the depth, the truth. They don't know the wars you fought to arrive here, but you do. And that knowing is your crown. Suffering didn't make you bitter. It made you discerning. It didn't make you cold. It made you clear. You now recognize the difference between chaos and chemistry, between trauma bonds and true connection. You no longer chase what harms your peace. You no longer negotiate your worth. You no longer dilute your essence just to be palatable. That is evolution. That is spiritual maturity. That is earned wisdom, not taught in books, not gained through imitation, but carved into your being through experience. And now, your very presence heals, not because you're trying to heal others, but because you've healed yourself. You've reconciled with your past. You've forgiven what you couldn't forget. You've chosen growth over comfort again and again. And in doing so, you've become a lighthouse in a world full of shadows. A reminder that yes, the chosen suffer more, but they also love more, feel more, awaken more, and rise higher. This is your legacy, not the trauma, but the triumph, not the wounds, but the wisdom, not the silence, but the sound of your spirit finally being heard. Your journey was never meant to look like theirs. You weren't sent here to blend in. You were sent here to break patterns, to elevate timelines, to remind the world of what it forgot, that pain can be transmuted, that purpose is born from ashes, and that one awakened soul can shift the atmosphere of an entire room. You are that soul. And from this moment forward, you stop apologizing for it. You stop explaining your depth to those who only swim in the shallow end. You stop dimming to make others comfortable. You stop doubting the sacred assignment carved into your bones, because chosen ones are not meant to be understood by everyone, only by those who are ready to see. So don't wait for them to catch up. Keep walking, keep speaking, keep burning with the fire you thought would consume you, but instead refined you. You are the evidence that suffering doesn't destroy. It awakens, that the worst seasons don't break the chosen, they birth them. And if ever again you ask yourself, why do the chosen ones suffer the most? You'll already know the answer. It's because your soul was never here for average. It was here to awaken, to elevate, to remember, and through that remembrance, to set the world on fire with truth. The storm never broke you, it revealed you. And now, chosen one, the world will finally see what the fire could never take. You. Your time is no longer coming. It's here.